This is my attempt to explain the X-Men timeline to my beautiful wife so she can understand why I like it so much. Now, it all started at the end of the most recent film, Days of Future Past, where you can see Apocalypse in the background with the Four Horsemen. That's around 3000 BC, so that's kind of when all the mutant stuff started happening. Forward to 1832, where James Howlett, who would eventually become Wolverine, was born to John and Elizabeth Howlett in Canada. Then in 1845, Thomas Logan and Victor Creed, who became Sabretooth, went to the Howlett's estate residence. Logan shot and killed John Howlett in their dispute. James let out his bone claws for the first time and shortly killed Logan. Before passing away, Logan revealed to James that he was in fact his real father. Moving forward to 1944 is where we meet Eric Lehnsherr, who becomes Magneto. When Eric was only 12 years old, he discovered his powers, but he was at a Nazi concentration camp in Poland. So Sebastian Snow, who is Kevin Bacon in the movie, discovered Eric's powers and further drew it out by killing his mother. Now, in that same year, 1944, Charles Xavier met Raven Darkholme, who becomes Mystique, for the first time inside of his mansion. Now, 12-year-old Charles caught 10-year-old Mystique looting for food in the mansion, but Charles befriended Raven and convinced her to live in the mansion with him. In 1962, Charles and Eric actually meet for the first time in the X-Men First Class movie. Later, Magneto exacted revenge against Sebastian Shaw by killing him with a coin. Magneto parted ways with Professor X and formed the Brotherhood of Mutants. In 1965, Professor X opened the School for Gifted Youngsters. The school also served as a safe haven for young mutants who wanted to study and develop their mutant abilities. Now, moving to 1973, James Logan Howlett, who is Wolverine, acted as a bodyguard for the Mafia Lord's daughter. During this year, Professor X and Hank McCoy are the only remaining X-Men in America. Now, in that same year, Mystique killed Bolivar Trask and was later captured by General William Stryker. In that same year, Trask Industries also began production on the Sentinel Mark I program, which kind of led to all the trouble that you see in Days of Future Past. Now, in 1979, Team X went on a mission to retrieve a meteor containing the origins of the adamantium element that later became infused into the skeletal structure of Wolverine. And this is about the time where James stopped calling himself James and started calling himself Logan. 1981, Professor X and Magneto were reunited to recruit Jean Grey. When Jean Grey was recruited, she became one of the members of the modern-day X-Men. In 1987, Logan went through the Weapon X program to inject his skeleton with adamantium. This was also the first time he adopted the alias Wolverine. Later on in the movie, which was the Origins Wolverine movie, he went on to fight Deadpool. Now, in 2005, Rogue ran away from Professor X's school and later met Wolverine in X-Men. This was the original movie. Then Rogue and Wolverine later joined the X-Men, and the X-Men fought against the Brotherhood of Mutants, which was led by none other than Magneto. In X-Men 2, X-Men United. Now, Magneto escaped his glass prison, and Jean Grey was killed when the X-Men attacked Stryker's base at Alkaline Lake. Later that year, Jean Grey was resurrected as Phoenix in X-Men Last Stand. Phoenix killed Professor X and later joined Magneto, but during the X-Men and Brotherhood of Mutants battle, Wolverine ultimately killed Phoenix. But one big thing that a lot of people don't know is when Professor X died, he actually transferred his consciousness to his comatose twin brother's body, and that's how he was able to come back. X-Men timeline of 2011, Wolverine lived as a hermit for years in the movie The Wolverine because he still bore a lot of guilt about killing Jean Grey. In this movie, Wolverine faced Silver Samurai in the series and ultimately defeated him. So in 2012, there's a huge prison break led by Blink, which took a bunch of mutants out of Trask prison camps. Trask then deployed the Sentinel Mark X a year later, which has the ability to shapeshift and adapt, and that's the one that you see here, and that was in the movie. Then we fast forward to 2023. Pretty much all the mutants are dead because of the Sentinels. Wolverine returns to the past by way of Kitty Pryde, and that's when he actually fixes things, and it begins a new timeline. So at the end of the movie, you see Apocalypse and the Four Horsemen, just like you saw at the beginning of this, and this really is the start of a completely new X-Men timeline, and you can ignore all other movies when the next movie comes out in 2016.